Oh, good grief, the mooing. Stop mooing. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem and we are back for our second stash series video today. We're going to explore our coloured pencils a little bit more. So I was going to say here we're going to keep going with the Fab 5, but I suppose it's the Fab 4 and the W.H. Smith pencils. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a nice simple little drawing stroke painting, and we're going to do the same one with each of the sets of the pencils. Obviously you will not see these in their entirety for every single set of pencils because number one, that would be a very repetitive video, but also it'd be a very lengthy video. So I'm going to start with the little Norris aquarelle pencils, which I'm really, I'm really happy with them, and you guys kind of figured that out anyway. So we'll start there and we'll just go from there. So the subject of the drawing today, I was sorting out a folder full of old artwork and I found this little tracing of a potion bottle that I did, and this was originally for one of the Colouring for Beginners videos, but I kind of thought this was a good subject to use as our sort of test drawing. If anybody wants this as a line art to try out for themselves, it is available on the website in the resources section, and as always the link to the website is down in the description if you want to use that for yourself. Please feel free, that's what it's there for. So yeah, I thought we'd use that as our inspiration. Now normally if I was going to repeat the same thing over and over, I would digitally duplicate it, but because one of the things I want to test is how well these pencils are for an underdrawing, then we're going to go from scratch. So I'm going to split the paper roughly in half, and I'll have one each side, so we'll have two of these sheets plus one on an extra sheet. This is the Langton cold pressed watercolour paper. I use this paper because it's trustworthy, it's reliable, and it can take a lot of water. So this is A5, so each one of our drawings is going to be roughly A6. They're just going to be little digits, they're really like postcard size. So I'm opting for the water brush option here rather than a paintbrush and a paint pot. I just find it easier. There is absolutely nothing wrong with using a paintbrush if that's what you feel like. I do have a paintbrush and a little pot of water off to the side if I want to, get a bit more funky and get a bit fancy with things, but we'll take it as it comes. After I've done the first drawing, I'll probably have a better idea of what I want to do or what I'm going to need to do going forward. Thinking about this little bottle, when we are doing the underdrawing, we want to use the colours that the actual item is going to be when we're sketching them, and that way we can blend them out so you shouldn't be able to see those sketch lines. Right, okay, so when I'm thinking about what we're actually going to draw here, I want to draw the bottle in first. And I think we'll stick with a sort of very light bluish tinge for the actual bottle. So I want to get that in first. So even if I just get the rough shape. So when I'm doing this, I am just using a very, very light sketching hand, the way I would with any other sort of sketch. The fact that I'm using a watercolour pencil makes absolutely no odds. Obviously, because I'm eyeballing these and doing them by hand, they are not going to be absolutely exact. The measurements, etc., aren't going to be absolutely perfect, but I will try and replicate that as best I can. And then for our liquid, I think we'll go with something like purple because that's fun. And then we can work on the bubbles separately. So it's really, really basic. We don't need to do a lot here at all. Let's start with the bottom here. So let's just start here. I think I can get zoomed in a little bit here as well. So the next thing I want to think about here is a wee bit of a cast shadow, and that lets us layer up our pencil a little bit. So just that's still a wee bit damp, and I'm just using that to my advantage. Just get some of the base colours down. Now when we're thinking about the bottle here, we want to think about how the light's going to hit some of the areas. So if I've got a cast shadow here, then the light's coming from this side. So we're going to have some sort of reflection here. And then the rest of this is going to be fairly well filled in. Now the thing about using any kind of watercolour is you do need to let areas dry. And you know, you have to kind of like keep going back. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a lip there as well. So I'm just working with this top half, and you can see one of my kind of wayward sketch lines there. I want to take that out. So I'm just kind of like planning where my colours are going to go. We will start to build this up. We do have to wait for things to dry. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to put in this first layer here on what is the surface of this liquid. Now again, maybe slightly darker over this side where the light's not hitting. Now I've got a wayward line here, so I'm going to need to erase that. And that's something that we do want to test out, so I've just got a kneaded eraser here, nothing fancy. And ironically, this is a W.H. Smith kneaded eraser, and their kneaded erasers are far better than the watercolour pencils. I really like them, and they're cheap. So as I'm doing this, I can actually see a hint of the blue peeking through. I don't know how obvious that's going to be in terms of what you guys can see. Now I'm managing to disperse these lines fairly well in terms of the sketch lines, which is really nice. Now I'm thinking as well I might just add a touch of dark blue in here as well at this corner. If you want to mix colours, this is the way to do it, is to layer up the pencil on top of each other. So you can see there I'm getting a more kind of like darkish, like more violet purple tone. And that's mixing fairly well. So this is underneath, so I want that to be a wee bit darker, but also there'll be a wee bit of a reflection there as well. Okay, so now we're going to start, now that we've got our basic set up here, and it looks like a bottle with stuff in it, I'm going to start trying to work in some layers and a bit of depth. So I'm going to grab this, this red pencil here. So we really want to start building up the colour, and this is where I find that the cheaper pencils fall flat a wee bit. A tiny bit of darker blue here, just on this side. Maybe at the top of here as well. Okay, so I'm starting to struggle when I'm adding in the pencil over the top here. It's kind of reluctant to go down. I would kind of want this to be as smooth as possible, but I'm working with pencil on cold pressed paper, so limit those expectations. But I really want this to be more intense. And I want to add in some like really teeny tiny detail, and this is, the brown's fairly blunt now, so I want to try and sharpen this. And this is one of the problem with the Staedtler pencils. Because they've got this kind of protective white core to stop them breaking, you kind of, the points on them are always really, really short, so it can be difficult to get a decent point on them. But I'm going to try. I want to see how this is going to sharpen anyway. This is a fairly new sharpener, and it is an M&R sharpener, a Mobius and Rupert sharpener. Okay, that's fairly good. But you can see what I mean about the size of the tip, because you're always going to have this white protective casing encroaching a little bit. So that means you're going to be doing a lot of sharpening. And this is the beauty of having these as, you know, in pencil form, because you can use them in pencil form and it's not a big deal. I'm very close to running outside and going finding that cow and choking her and telling her to shh. Oh, this is a happy place. Obviously, I mean, this isn't going to be any great masterpiece or sort of detailed drawing. Just, you know, it has to be within the sort of constraints and scope of the video. But I would like to do, you know, a sort of half decent job here. So in terms of colour and what I'm doing, you know, with the pencils, I don't have anything as a reference here. I'm just kind of like making this up as I go along. That's my reference. So so there's our first little potion bottle. Feelings about this: when I was layering up with them, I was having to work really hard. This pencil erases really well as well. I don't know how much more layering we would be able to get, because like I really want to add in more contrast. I feel the pencils feel fine. They feel absolutely fine. But I just feel as if I'm having to work a little bit which again, we're talking about a £4 pack of pencils here, so I am not surprised by that. But not only that, I'm not even that bothered about it. It's, you know, it's fine. Absolutely fine. Okay, onto these W.H. Smith pencils, and even just putting them down on the paper, these feel horrible. If someone said to me, you've got a £4 pack of pencils, I would have thought these were it. It's just nasty. My bottle's a little bit shorter and squatter, a bit like myself, so I will not discriminate. So let's see how this erases now, because I do have a huge chunk of blue in the middle there that needs to not be there. And it's kind of lifting, it's not... Oh no, there we go. Okay, stand corrected. I'm getting very judgy already. Okay, the one thing is that is now advantageous, which is a shame really, is because the pencil is so reluctant to go down on the paper, we don't really have any sketch lines that we need to get rid of. They're just sort of, they're going to meld in with everything and just generally not be a hassle, which is, I suppose that's every cloud has a silver lining and all that jazz. Oh jeez. You know how I always say, oh, I'm having such a good time and I'm really enjoying myself. I am absolutely like 100% not enjoying myself right now. My face is kind of set in like a part grimace just now. I'm like, oh. I have to say the actual shade of this brown is nice. It's quite warm. Right, the sooner I'm done with this particular iteration of this drawing, the better, because I'm not a happy camper. Okay, so I'm trying to stick to the same methodology as well, so I'm trying to go round in the same circles that I was going in last time. When I put water on it, it's lifting half the pencil off. Look, I've got gaps everywhere. This is freaking awful. Right, okay, where's my big brush? Jeez, oh. Now, if I didn't know better, if I was a novice at this sort of thing, right now I would be blaming the paper and I would be saying it's the paper that's the problem here. It's not. I know for a fact it's not the paper because I use this paper all the time and I really like this paper. This is not the paper. This is the pencils. And that is very, very, very seldom the case when it comes to watercolour, be it pencil or otherwise. I can't get over this, I really can't. Like I think this probably has to be one of the most awful products that I've ever had I was going to say the not good fortune to test out. Misfortune, that's the word. Like there's nothing enjoyable or nice about this. Now see, that purple's quite pleasant. Okay. I found something pleasant about this. But even the way it's spreading out, you can see what I mean about it actually lifting the paint. It's taking the pencil off. It's not diluting it. You know, I was saying I had to work with the staplers a little bit to get the layers down. This is, I don't know if this classifies as work. Can you see the scratchiness of that going down there? Yeah, okay. So, you know, that's actually making me not want to use them as watercolour pencils, which is, well, obviously that's a problem because that's what they're supposed to be. I think my main problem with this so far is inconsistency in terms of laydown is, well, non-existent, but also... I mean, look, it's just like, I might as well not be bothering here to try and build this up. And it's just really scratchy. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. Don't like it. Go away. Like, you just like, what is this? I'm not pressing hard at all. At least I can blend these lines out, but it's actually leaving marks in the paper if you look closely enough. To be fair, the colours that I've put down side by side, they're mixing together okay. I'm just finding it like my watercolour pencil skills are limited and I feel that I just have absolutely no hope with these pencils. Like there's nothing that I can do that's going to make this turn out reasonable. Okay, in terms of sharpening, I haven't actually I haven't actually had to do anything with any of these pencils now. I've used that brown a fair bit between the last video and this. So what that tells us is that these pencils are really, really hard, because it's hardly even knocked the tip off that. And the fact that I'm going in and doing detail work now after all that, and after scrubbing away my blinking down here and whatnot, and that kind of just proves my point about these pencils. These are far too hard to be a decent watercolour pencil, and it's probably why I'm having trouble getting layers down. In terms of going over the top of what's there, you do need a bit of malleability there, and it's just kind of not happened. It is good to try these things out, and as I say, I mean, that it's not terrible. It's not completely terrible, but it's not good. And as I say, the process of getting to this point is just one of the most unpleasant things I've ever done. Right, please take these abominations away from me. Just get them out my sight. If anybody has any suggestions about what to do with these pencils after we're finished this series of videos, please let me know in the comments, because I'm at a loss other than throwing them in the bin, which seems a bit wasteful. So if you've got any ideas, let me know. Okay, so same thing again, 21, 10.5 centimetres is roughly the middle. Again, start over this side. Okay, so next up we're on to the Goldfaber Aqua, which are a much softer set of pencils. Now, instantly, the sketching process in itself is much, much, much nicer here. Oh, look at that. That is just... Oh, it's taken everything away. I know that's really difficult for you to see, but there is literally none of that pencil left. It's so nice coming to these pencils after using the other ones. I'm actually being a little bit more wayward with this, see, because I know how well this erases now. You know, I'm really kind of like, I'm going in there with the sketch lines, like, yeah... I have been impressed with all of these watercolour pencils for different reasons, and the likes of this, I mean, this is a student grade pencil and it's so nice to use. Like, these are lovely to use, they really are. This is way more fun than the last one, and this is the third time I'm drawing the same thing and I'm still having fun. And I'm hardly even touching the paper, and look how yellow the yellow is. Look how yellow the yellow is. Right, I'm going to put this out the way now. I actually feel more confident with these pencils. Like, even my pencil strokes are more confident. I think because I trust them a little bit more. I know what they're going to do. I don't have to worry about, oh, you know, is this going to turn out? Is this going to be a complete disaster? I kind of know what they're going to do. And I feel as if I'm going to get quite a good lay down as well. I want to go in with this purple like almost immediately, because it's going to be rich. Okay, a question I get asked all the time, what kind of water brushes do you use? These are the Kuretake Zig H2O brushes. I've had them for a long, long time. I like them, they're reliable. They're pocket friendly. I just find that it's easy to control the water flow. Some other water brushes, the water flow's a bit, ooh, you know, a bit crazy. See, this is what I was hoping for. Can you see how smooth that's blending out? That's what I want from my watercolour pencils. I should decide whether I want an area to be textured or not whatever the brush decides it wants to do, or the pencil decides it wants to do. I'll get up here, see how yellow are you? Like how yellow that is absolutely insane. It's almost we're almost offensive in that shade of yellow there. It's my little Jack Russell flapping her ears about. Hi Woo. You alright? She's completely ignoring me. She can't hear me anyway. I don't know why I keep talking to her, but I do. Oh, look how rich that colour is. That's just a million bajillion times. Can I blend that out? Oh, you can see my marks there. Oh no, there we go. No. Again, I've got a lopsided bottom. Not my personal derriere, but to the bottom of my bottle here is very lopsided actually. So that's going down that second layer of pencil. It's a wee bit reluctant, but it's not bad. It's going down a lot better than some of the other pencils that we have already used, namely, you know who fine well what I'm talking about. Now, I talk about this quite a lot, but when it comes to art, a lot of it for me is in the enjoyment of the doing rather than the the final outcome. And the things that maybe don't turn out as well as I would hope, I kind of just take it as a life lesson for next time. You know, so most of the enjoyment and the reason that I find fun is just this kind of like farting about. This is what makes it pleasurable for me. And I know not everyone feels the same way, but it's a huge part of it for me. And that's kind of like greatly influencing my opinion of these pencils. Like the main question is, am I having a good time? Am I having fun playing with art stuff? And these pencils, the answer to that is absolutely yes. This is all crumbled away at the top. I don't know if you can see that or not. These pencils are soft, so we're going to have a wee go at sharpening these. I've got a pointy point. That's sharpened fairly well. I would expect a little more in the way of breakages with these just because they are softer pencils. That's perfectly natural, and it's not to say, you know, there's nothing wrong with the quality of the pencils. Those with softer, crumblier cores, you're gonna get more breakages. It's like trying to eat a Cadbury's flake without dropping any of it. It's gonna happen, and you accept it and move on. So don't don't make that a sticking point for yourself. Like, don't make a big deal of it unless you're having to sharpen like every single time you pick up the pencil. Then obviously that's a problem, because that's going to cause you issues in terms of how much of your pencil you're actually getting to use versus how much of you're sharpening it down the drain, down into the bin, even in the drain. I don't know anybody that sharpens their pencils into the drain. I'm having such a good time here. I want to keep going. I'm just like, yeah. And that, for me, that is always a good sign. If I want to stop doing something like almost straight away, that kind of tells me that I'm not having enough fun. But I feel as if I could keep going here, keep layering this up, keep making it funkier. I mean, look, it's just taking this pencil so well as well. I feel like this is nice and rich. Yeah. Straight away, now this is us, obviously, we've moved into the sort of artist grade pencils here, and as pencils they are much more vibrant going down as a sketching pencil. Like, there's a lot more pigment going down there, and it makes me kind of wary about whether or not we're going to have problems erasing these sketch lines or diluting them out. I'm not entirely sure, but we're gonna sure as heck find out. Okay, erasability. Ooh. Not as good as the gold Faber. Oh no, not erasing so well. Okay, we have erasability problems. That's an issue for me. So in terms of the undersketch, this could potentially be a problem, especially with this circular part. I may be in trouble here. I may be in trouble. Okay, so we want the dark blue. I feel as if I need to put more purple in as well. I kind of feel as if I should just be using these as like normal pencils. And I don't really know what I'm going to do with this, because I can't really erase this. I'm hoping that it's going to dilute out okay, because if not, then we are going to be in a bit of a pickle. Okay, so let's get in with the water. Now, I'm quite confident. I want to see how well this is all going to blend out. Okay, so far so good. See, that's far too dark. Now I'm just wondering if I can lift some of this. Yeah, there we go. Oh. See, I've got this really harsh line here though. Ugh. I am easily able to blend out my pencil strokes, so that's always something. Like, there's no real concern there in terms of, oh no, I've made this really thick or really heavy pencil stroke, what am I going to do? You're going to dilute it out and everything will be fine. That's basically what I'm telling you. My bottle is very lopsided here though. I'm going to have to wait till that dries before I do something about that. Let's see how oh, there we go. There's our mixed colours. That's lovely. My bottle's kind of turned out a funny shape. I'm going to try and round this out a little bit. Obviously, as the afternoon's going on, my standards are slipping a little bit. I'm getting tired. But there you go, I can even add in and fix things. Where's my dark blue? Also as well, this dark blue pencil's delightful. See, going back over, like going in on top, so far these are the best pencils for doing that. I'm having the least resistance with these compared to the other, the other pencils that we've tried so far, definitely. I'm having a little bit of trouble with some of my sketch lines, like I'm kind of having to work quite hard at them to get them to do something. Right, let's come up here to my yellow. I can still see the blue in behind, which I'm a wee bit disappointed about that. I was kind of hoping it would erase a little bit better than that, but you can't have everything your own way all the time, it's just the way of the world sometimes. Okay, there's such a huge difference. See, going back over areas that have been activated with water, there is a huge difference between these Derwent pencils and the cheaper alternatives. Some of them were quite reluctant, but I could go back over this as many times as I want. I am confident in that. And it is genuinely not going to be an issue. And I really want to darken this down with the blue. Like, it's as if I haven't activated anything with water. Blend that out a little bit. Again, got the luxury of doing that. So nice. And I can vary my pressure the same way as I would with if I was just using normal coloured pencil. And this is the place where it's most apparent to me. See, when you're working on an expanse like this, and by far, out of all the pencils we've tested so far, this is going down easiest on top of what we've already done. And it's most apparent here, although I could feel it in some of the other areas. This is it. This is it for me. And I know that this shadow is going to be much richer. Like, it's going to be much deeper with these pencils than all the other ones as well. You can just see that black going down as well. We did discuss that this black's got a bit of a blue tint in it as well, which is going to be quite interesting. But even at that that's much more natural, just even in pencil form. So I'm actually quite excited about this now. That's a problem there though. Okay, let's see if we can blend this out a little bit. Well, that worked exactly the way I wanted it to either side, at the bottom there. I don't know about either side though. I think this is going to be a little bit too... Oh my goodness. That's not what I wanted to happen at all. I feel as if, just because I've got this layering ability, I feel as if I really want to like dig deep with it. See, this is fun. This is fun arting. Like, this is what you want to be doing. Like, oh, let's see what happens when we do this. Oh yeah, like we can put a little bit more in here. This is fun. W.H. Smith pencils, not fun. See, because everything else is more vibrant, this is more about contrast than how white I've left it. It's just because everything else is much more saturated that it makes the highlights stand out more. That's ideal. That is what you want. I haven't had any crumbling yet. I'm just having a wee look. There is one that's got the sort of tip off it here. So we could try and sharpen this one and just see how we go. But I haven't had any crumbliness. Okay, no issues, nothing. Okay, cool. Now there will be another video so we can continue to monitor the sharpening side of things. Okay, so we just want to add in a little bit of texture down here. Now this red is more of, it's not really a red, it's a vermilion. It's more like an orange colour, so this is going to look slightly different to some of the other ones, but it's not a huge deal really, is it? Okay, so another pad of Langton. I've used up the last one, and this is for the last potion bottle, which is with the Albrecht Dürer pencils. So there's roughly 10.5 centimetres. About there, that'll do. So let's get down to business. Now the first thing, these all need sharpened because they're mine and I've been using them, so we're going to find out how well we sharpen, and it's great for sharpening. Okay, yeah, the first thing is the barrel diameter. This just feels like a much more substantial pencil. Get my circle on the go. So let's again try out the erasing properties. And a bit like the Derwent, the erasing's not great, it's not terrible, but we'll just be careful where our highlighted area is going to be. I do feel that this is slightly firmer than our Derwents. This is definitely a firmer pencil. I don't think there's any kind of doubt in that. And because of that, I personally find it a little bit easier to work with. Not for any other reason than it's kind of like nice middle of the road stuff. And this is by far the easiest pencil to put down on the paper, by far. Even down to, you know, when it comes to your pencil pressure, night and day compared to the other ones, and I include the Derwent in that. Look how easily I've been able to put that in. I'm not really trying. So here's the darker blue now. And I'm actually having to just, we would say it's Scottish cockany a wee bit, as in just pull up a little bit, because I could make this too dark quite easily. I'm kind of heading in that direction as it is. So yeah, needless to say, these pencils layer up wonderfully. I just find these so easy to use, like I really, really do. Now this Crimson Lake is actually quite a delicate colour, so I'm fully expecting to have to go back in, do a bit of layering up with it. I can do my cork while I'm waiting. These yellows are so yellow, that tickles me every time, like it really does. I'm like, it's so yellow! Like, well, you kind of hope it would be yellow, wouldn't you? And again, the same thing as we had with the Derwent, it's blending out so smoothly, like that is super smooth. And that's amazing and exactly what you want. As I say, you want the control of when to decide, you know, if you want a stroke left in like that or whether you don't, not because the pencil dictates to you. That's pretty smooth. Obviously, you're always going to get that little bit of variation. That's the whole point of using watercolour. If you wanted really solid flat colour, you would use markers. And I think it's safe to say with the artist grade pencils, the ability to to dissolve these lines out and just dissolve the pigment out in general is much better. And you would kind of hope so, because you're talking about quite a big jump in price. So that's something that it doesn't really need to be commented on. Oh, look at this blue, it's just like wowee. And even though I've stopped there, it's still letting me go back and blend, which was one of the problems I had with the Goldfaber pencils. Like, once you kind of started, you had to keep going a wee bit. I can even pull that purple across there, look. Right, I need to get a pointy point on my pencil. Now, one of the reasons that these pencils do sharpen well is because of the thickness of the barrel and of the core. Just because it's slightly chunkier, it's got a little bit more stability. Again, one of the reasons I like them. I do like the slightly chunkier barrel as well. It seems to be easier on my hand. Like, see this grip position? I tend to get pains down here sometimes and up in between this knuckle joint, because that was the finger that I had operated on. And I don't know whether it's my imagination or whether it's like a placebo effect or whether it actually does, but with a slightly chunkier pencil, this just feels more comfortable. If I go to the big chunky ones, there's the Magnus variety, which are great big thick versions. I think it goes too much the other way, and I don't like them either. So yeah, but I just thought that was worth mentioning. I know quite a few of you have joint problems and arthritis and other things. So it's one of those ones where I couldn't recommend anything, because obviously everybody's different. But just for me, I'm just letting you know my experiences, because it might be something that might be a little bit helpful to some of you too. But I seem to get on well with this this sort of barrel width. The thing is as well, I'm used to using these because of the Polychromos as well, because I do use the Polychromos pencils a lot. My go-to brand. I really want to make this super dark. I don't know why. I'm like, getting wayward because we're getting towards the end. See, this is where I need somebody to be the voice of reason, be like, now Jem, just calm yourself, please. Have a little bit of decorum. Like decorum. Like we need that. Decorum's for offices and boring people. I had my painter and decorator in the other day. We're getting the outside of the house painted soon. He wants me to draw a portrait of his dog for him. He's going to give me some commission work, which is really nice as well. He has a cockapoo. I've never drawn a cockapoo, so that'll be fun. But yeah, I was talking to him and he referred to this place as the cave, and he kind of gave me a funny look and I realised he had no idea what I was talking about. So when I gave him one of my business cards, he kind of went, oh, okay, I get it now. I was like, yeah, it's the cave. It's not, you know, normally if I'm talking to people that aren't in the know, I just refer to it as my office, because I obviously do my proper job in here too. Because we were talking about art stuff, I kind of like automatically said the cave, and he was like, you cave? What cave? You paint in a cave? I do need to dilute out these darker blue areas though. I'm going to get a wee bit of that down and grab my black. And I'm going to have to go easy with the black here when it's activated by water, so we don't want to go too crazy with that. From the cave window, I have the spring calving cows, you know, in view, and it's all our favourites, including Francine and Barbara. For those of you that were here last year, Francine and Barbara are they're in calf. They're not due for a little while yet, but the girls have started calving. So we've got 5 wee teeny tiny dinky calves, and they really are. They're so small. The bull was small. And some of the cows are quite small as well, so we're getting these little dinky calves, and they can like walk underneath their mums without ducking their heads. They're so cute. So I'm just watching them parading up and down. They're a little bit unsettled, obviously, because they're starting to get quite heavily pregnant, but they're happy to be outside instead of in the shed where they spent the winter. Right, okay, I'm going to do this shadow down here. Oh, that was just the right amount of black. I think I overdid it with the black in the Derwent one. Again, just the difference in, you know, going to that sort of artist grade pencil when you're a lot more pigmented. But I've managed to kind of like calm that down a little bit for what's going on here, which is fabulous. I have gotten quicker as I've gone along. Obviously, this is the 5th time I've drawn the same thing, so one would expect that. But here we go with a little bit of detail. And again, pencils sharpened up really well, so no issues on point of view of getting a pointy point. And let's see how we go with the bubbles. Oh my goodness, right, okay, I don't need to press that hard. Oh, try and press a bit more lightly. I want to build up my shadow a little bit more. My shadow's a bit lacklustre here, it's a bit on the skinny side. I'm enjoying the fact that with these I can... Sleeves up. That I can add in more pencil over the top and not worry about it too much, and it's going to look okay. Well guys, that was epic, I guess. If I just shove everything out the road and bring in all of the pictures here, I think it's fairly obvious, and if I'd covered up the brand names here and just shown you the bottles themselves, I think it's fairly obvious that you get what you pay for in terms of pigment laydown. As you can see, the ones at the bottom are considerably more vibrant than the ones on the top. And again, back to this, and I've said this already, I'm kind of repeating myself, but the Staedtler Norris actually hold up quite well. If you stick them in this bottom row, it does look really, really washed out, and you can see that, but you're not going to get the same pigment load from a £4 pack of pencils as you're going to get from a £16 pack of pencils, or whatever much, £12 pack of pencils, sorry. So really, it is a case of you get what you pay for in terms of what you can work towards and what you can get out of them. The Derwent pencils seem to be very vibrant and very pigmented, but I had to work a bit harder with those than I did with the Albrecht Dürer pencils. I was a little bit disappointed in the Goldfaber pencils in terms of actually activating with water. They kind of felt a little bit like Derwent Inktense in that you have to work quickly, because even if it starts to settle into the paper a little bit, it's very difficult to work out any sort of brush lines that are left behind. In terms of fun factor, I had way more fun with the Staedtler Norris than I did with the Goldfabers. The W.H. Smith was just hard work start to finish. And in terms of wanting to continue on, definitely the Albrechts and the Goldfaber were the two where I really felt like, oh, I could keep building up and keep going and keep going. I struggled a little bit with the Derwent pencils as well, and I think it's because you've got to remember that these three brands, I have used these before, these two I have not, so that may have something to do with it, and that's obviously an outside factor that I can't control what I've played with before. But I just felt with the Derwent, there might be such a thing as too pigmented, and if I just zoom in here a little bit, if I tuck the Goldfaber out the way and you take a look here, it's really, I don't know, it's kind of difficult. It'd probably be better if I did that way. There we go. Yeah, I kind of had a hard time working out some of these darker areas, and the Albrecht's definitely erased better than the Derwents, but in terms of erasing, the Statler Norris and the Goldfaber were the best. So that, I find that quite an interesting experiment. The only pencils that I would really say that I would not recommend are the W.H. Smith ones. Each of these other sets have their merits, and a lot of it is down to personal preference. For me, they are the Albrechts and the Derwents for sure. I didn't have any problems with breakages or, you know, crumbliness. And again, the Goldfaber are a softer pencil, so I kind of expected that of them. But it really is a case of you get what you pay for, and I think it's just down to preference, and I hope that doing this has maybe helped you decide if it's something you're looking at based on where you are with your art, whether or not watercolour pencils are something you just want to try out. If that's the case, go for the Statler Norris, and I would take those over the Goldfabers. They're easier to work with on the paper than the Goldfabers are, but you get better results with the Goldfabers. If you're looking for something a bit more top end, then obviously it's between the Derwent and the Albrecht Dürers. I feel like these are a sturdier pencil, and the leads seem to just be a bit more robust, so that would be my choice. But I find these easier to work with than the Derwents, but again, that's probably a familiarity thing. Anyway, out of the 5, let me know what you think. I think I've done a reasonably good job of keeping things consistent. I definitely don't want to draw another bottle for a good little while anyway, but it's still fun. I've had a great afternoon doing this all the same, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself too. So that is it for today, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching, joining me for another stash series video, and I'll see you back in the cave on Sunday for another video. So have a good day, everyone. Stay safe, and bye for now.